Warning, the following audio transmission will forever change your outlook on society. You will no longer believe the narrative. You are about to wake up and see things for what they really are. News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. The website, jestersvoice.com. Everywhere on social media, at Jester Dooms. I hope everybody is having a lovely Wednesday morning. It is Wednesday. It's officially Hump Day, February 18th, 2026. Joining me is the lovely, the talented, kind of feral producer Scooter. How are you doing today, producer Scooter? Don't growl at me. Okay, moving on. I hope everybody's having a lovely week. It's been a very stressful time. I think I can hear it in my own voice that I'm just like, I've had my ass kicked in the last couple weeks. And I'm just like waiting. You know how like you wait for that second wind, like that extra burst of energy to just happen. It ain't happening. Got my coffee this morning. Got my nice Rise mushroom coffee. The one, you know, I keep talking about this coffee. I should probably just apply for a sponsorship at this point because I just keep talking about it so much. But the one thing that is nice about this coffee is like you don't get the caffeine jitters out of this coffee like you do with regular coffee. Like, because that's what happens to me. I'm coffee all morning long. And then by noon, I'm like, fuck, I'm vibrating around the house having anxiety attacks. Like, that's what ends up happening. But I don't get that with the Rise. It's not a thing. It's pretty decent. Anyway, I got to call out a certain listener and call him a piece of shit. Yes, you piece of shit. I'm talking about you. So yesterday, one of my friends who's also a listener of the show, which I don't know if we're going to be friends for much longer, you sack of shit. I don't know, man. You better get it together. Told me he was going to come help me work on my homestead house project. Okay. I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, I need a favor. I'm kind of under the gun time frame wise. I said, I have to do a few things by hand. And if I do it by myself, it's going to take a long time. But if I have somebody else helping me, I could probably cut that time way down. He's like, yeah, sure, man. So he tells me he's coming over, tells me all day, lets me know when he gets off work. And I'm expecting him to roll in up the driveway any moment. It's already dark out, but I got the work lights going. I got everything. The wife made soup. Like we're good to go. And then I get a message. Just as I'm expecting him to get there, I get a message. It says, I ain't going to make it. You piece of shit. So he's going to try to redeem himself and show up today. And I know you're listening to this. He listens to the show every day. So you better be here, you fucking sack of ass. With fucking bells on. You better fucking be here, dude. That's all I got to say. Or I will come find you in the fucking mountain and I will burn your house down around you, you fucking bag of assholes. Anyway, so if you did catch me yesterday on TikTok Live a little bit, working on the house foundation, I don't know what was going on, but my signal was just not fantastic yesterday for whatever reason. And I'd start a live, it looked like it was going good, people would be coming in, and then it's just like we're down to 2 people, and I can't even open to see who these 2 people are. Like it won't show me because my signal is so piss poor. And then I got another live going again. It's like, it's going good. I look up and the live randomly ends. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So I eventually got to the point where I said, fuck it. We're not going to keep trying this. But then I also kind of came to the realization that it's probably just going to be a pain in the ass to do, like actually working down there. And I think it's because like I'm like inside the block more now, like inside the block wall. And I think it's impeding the signal a little bit or something. So I think that until I get some more things going here, like until there's actual Wi-Fi I can connect to right there in the general area, I think that we're just going to call the lives quits for now on the TikTok and other things. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to keep trying and failing because it's also taking away time for me to do other shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But we're going to be back down there today working on the house foundation. I got to run one of the kids to an appointment. Then after that, it's going to be bam. Rocking and rolling again. So everything should work out swell, I hope. Right. And if my bag of ass friend decides to actually show up, we might make some headway in the other portion of the project. So we'll see what happens with that. You better be here, you sack of shit. Fucking better be here. Fucking piece of shit. Outside of that, though, I have to put an order in today for asphalt primer for the foundation walls to do the waterproofing. And as of now, it's looking like we're backfilling the walls with concrete on Friday. As of now, it's looking that way. But again, dealing with the woes of these contractors, I met this guy. Well, I got this guy's contact information for a guy that does concrete pumper things. He's a concrete pump guy, and rates are really reasonable. Horrible about calling people back. Horrible, like can't remember anything. Like it is horrible. So like I feel like we're gonna have a scheduling conundrum. Because it's like I have to get commitment to get this done. This isn't when, oh well, maybe maybe this day, maybe that day. Oh, I gotta see if they got availability. And, oh, like no. I have a deadline. This like wishy-washy, forget to call me kind of shit doesn't work, but his price does work. That's the fucking problem. Very reasonable rate, just the idea of commitment. Speaking of commitment, producer Scooter, what are you doing over there? Nothing? Well, if you're not busy, you want to take us to break? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll be right back after this.
Can't get enough of Jester Dooms? Check out his other show, It's Doomsday Podcast, available on all podcast platforms. That's It's Doomsday Podcast.
Back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I'm your host, Jester Dooms. Email doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Everywhere on social media @JesterDooms. The website, www.jestersvoice.com. Use the button at the top of the screen and send us an audio message. Yeah. Did anybody catch the eclipse today or yesterday? Anybody? I missed it. I was up. I went out to look for it, and the sun had not crested the hill yet for me to get a visual of it. And then by the time I got done doing my running around and everything else and got back here and was able to grab a proper welding lens to take a look, it was too late. It's too late. But it'll be okay. So I heard a weird conspiracy yesterday, and I wanted to get into it with you guys on the show today. And I said this before, okay, like that there's more to the vaccines. Yes, this is going to be a vaccine episode. There's more to the vaccines than what meets the eye. I've said this. So somebody's up to no good somewhere. The question is why. Okay, now I'm talking to my friend, and I have not got to research anything that he has told me yet. So I'm just relaying you the information I heard, whether it's good or bad. So don't hold this to be factual information. Don't hold this to be reliable information. But it kind of goes like this. Old Billy Gates is working on getting mosquitoes to carry nanoviruses that the nanoviruses basically when they bite a human will activate some kind of turbo cancer within the body, some kind of turbo cancer. And this turbo cancer is going to affect the people who got vaccinated and take them out. This is his claim. All right. This is his claim. And I'm listening to this and it doesn't make a lot of sense. All right. And it got me thinking, like, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show yet or not. I may have. We do a lot of episodes. They all run together. I'll have people come to me sometimes and they'll say, well, I remember you said that on the one show. And I'm like, did I? I don't know. Do you know how many hours we spend? You know how much fucking audio I've recorded since I became a podcaster? Like shit tons of hours. Shit tons. Metric shit tons. There's so much audio out there. It is unreal. And you don't remember what you say on all these shows. It all blends together. It all fades away. It becomes a distant memory, right? Now, if a listener, jogs my mind about something, it's like, oh, yeah. I remember when we talked about that. Like, my memory's pretty good, but the idea of trying to remember what we talk about in every show is just not a thing. So I have an interesting theory about the vaccines. And this was something that came up a couple years ago. And I was talking to a friend. May have been the same friend, actually. I'm not sure. And it was, again, about how the people that got vaccinated were going to be taken out. And I go back and I say, no, that doesn't make sense. And the same thing goes with this. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Why would you want to take out the people that were vaccinated? These are the good little sheeple. These are the complacent people. These are the people that are going to do as they're told. They're the people that are going to listen. These are people that have a work ethic because they got vaccinated because they were scared to lose their jobs. Okay, these are the people you do not want to take out. You want to take out the people who didn't get the vaccine. You want to take out the people who are non-compliant. Okay, that's the kind of people that you don't want around if you're up to no good. But the sheeple, that's who you want to keep. Now, when he got into this, when he was getting into this turbo cancer thing yesterday and telling me all about this, I was like, well, we did a lot of research on my other show whenever these vaccines were just starting to be rolled out. Okay. And we found out a lot about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, how they were experimenting with mRNA vaccines and how everything was going south for that. And there really wasn't a market for it. And they were kind of, there were side effects. There was all these horrible things. They were experimenting. I believe the whole gambit with the mRNA vaccines was to, it was to fight something. And I want to say it was something cancer related, but I believe it was also somewhere in Africa, where there's no regulation. They were experimenting with these and having horrible results. Okay. So when he brought this up, my brain started making the connection that the mRNA vaccines were not originally intended for COVID. They were for something totally different. I believe it was to fight cancer, but I can't remember. And then he brought this up, this whole, infecting mosquitoes with nanoviruses or something, and then going around and infecting people around the world and them dying very quickly from being bit by a mosquito. Now, it really makes you wonder, did they because it's been some time now since everybody was getting that jab, right? They got a half a decade worth of research now. Think about that, about what this actually does to the human body. They've actually had time to research and figure out if your DNA was altered, figure out what's left behind from that vaccine, figure out what stays in your system long-term and what doesn't. I thought it was very, very odd. I donate blood, and I thought it was very, very odd going into a donation and starting to see that as a new test question, like, did you receive the vaccination? And I remember asking why, and they're like, we don't know why they're asking that, but they want to know. So they know something we don't know, period. Why would that be a matter if you're donating blood? Why would that matter if you got the COVID-19 vaccination? Why would that be a thing? Is there extra clotting factors maybe? Do you not want to give this to somebody who, I don't know. It's weird. The reason of why you want to know that. If it's totally safe, it's not a problem. You don't ask me if I got the flu vaccine. You don't ask me if I've had a measles vaccination. You don't ask if I'm taking anti-herpes medication. No. But you want to know if I got that vaccine. That's a test question now that's on, or not a test question, but it's on the questionnaire. Have you had unprotected sex? Have you had multiple sex partners? Have you been in and out of the country in the last year? Have you gotten any recent tattoos within the last year? Were you in prison? Have you tested positive for TB? The standard, I don't know if TB is one of them or not, but the rest are. But, you answer these questionnaires, and then all of a sudden the COVID-19 vaccinations popping on there. Why is this in the same category? Why? It doesn't make any sense unless they know something we don't know, but I digress. Now, to get back to the point here of the super turbo cancer mosquitoes that he's referencing, what if in their last half a decade worth of research, they figured out what is isolated inside the body? Whoever got this vaccine, what sticks around? What will that fight off that the rest of the public who didn't get the vaccine couldn't fight off? That's the $1 million question. Anyway, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, Producer Scooter here. First off, thank you for downloading and participating in the wide world of Jester Doom. Please be sure to check out jestersvoice.com website. Everything you want to know is located on jestersvoice.com. If you're looking for salacious details, it's on jestersvoice.com. Don't forget to share the show with your friends and even with all your enemies. And now, back to the musings of Jester Doom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I am your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show. Give me that IRL, that 1 week in real life interaction. Yeah. Now, we're going to go straight from turbo cancer mosquitoes, to an article on the Epic Times by Zachary Steiber. New coalition aims to ban vaccine mandates across U.S. A new coalition composed of 15 groups, including an organization founded by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is taking aim at vaccine and mass mandates across the United States. Children's Health Defense, the Kennedy-founded group, and other members of Medical Freedom Act coalition say they want every state to introduce and pass medical freedom bills. In quotations, I think it's the first time we've seen this kind of effort in the kind of freedom and health movement. Leslie Manookian, who founded the Health Freedom Defense Fund, told the Epic Times. The model state is Idaho, which in 2025 enacted a law that prohibits businesses and schools from requiring customers, employees, and students to receive vaccines or other medical procedures. This name, Manookian, 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 maybe, helped write the legislation called the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. In quotes, because that passed, it really showed what was possible. Leah Wilson, executive director and co-founder of Standard for Health Freedom and one of the leaders of the coalition, told the Epic Times, our goal is to take the Medical Freedom Act to as many states as possible across the U.S. Michael Kane, director of advocacy for Children's Health Defense, told the Epic Times, Children's Health Defense finds vaccine mandates and medical mandates reprehensible, and we are honored to be part of a coalition fighting to end forced medical procedures, to end medical mandates and vaccine mandates for all Americans. The coalition also includes others linked to Kennedy or his Make America Health Again movement, including the Independent Medical Alliance, several whose advisors Kennedy has appointed to Vaccine Advisory Committee, the MAHA Institute, whose president co-founded a political action committee that funded Kennedy's presidential bid, and MAHA Action, which has held events attended by Kennedy and whose leader has published books written by the health secretary. People involved in the effort have said that they are in communication with Kennedy on all other matters, but have not discussed the coalition. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services did not respond to a request for comment. In quotes, this state, more than any state in the country, stands for not only medical freedom, but a healthy population, Kennedy said in a briefing with Idaho Governor Brad Little, a Republican who signed the Idaho Medical Freedom Act a few months prior on July 23rd of 2025. Kennedy recently told reporters in Tennessee that he was not part of efforts to end school vaccine mandates in states. I believe in freedom of choice, he said, describing vaccination as a personal choice that people should make with their physicians. American Families for Vaccines, the American Academy of Pediatrics, which partners with vaccine manufacturers and other organizations, opposed rolling back vaccine mandates. The group did not respond to request for comment. Dun, dun, dun. And why would they? Now, these Idaho requirements still in place. The Idaho Medical Freedom Act says in part that a school shall not mandate a medical intervention for any person to attend or enter campus or buildings or be employed. It also says that a business shall not refuse to provide any service, product administration to a venue, or transportation to a person because that person has or has not received or used a medical intervention. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, producer Scooter here. And if you've made it this far, I just want to commend you for diligent listening skills. But also, I want you to take a moment, since you've come this far with us, send an email to doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Let us know where you're listening from. If you have any ideas for something you'd like Jester to address or talk about, send us an email. That's doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Doom Daily Show. I'm your host, Jester Dooms. The email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Everywhere on social media, @JesterDooms. Website, jestersvoice.com. If you didn't get your code word of the week, go back to Monday's episode. Go get that shit. That's how this works. I'll give it to you later in the week. All right, so I do think that there is a line that needs to be there's a line that needs to be drew in the sand, figuratively speaking. I am 100% not for experimental vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccination. I'm not here for these things. And you know that. I stand pretty clear on that. I didn't get the vaccine. I didn't want my kids to get the vaccine. I didn't want my wife to get the vaccine, and none of us got it. And it wasn't even like much of a fight. My wife usually opposes everything I say, but she did not oppose this. She was like, the only benefit for me that I think to get it right now it would make flying and traveling easier, but it's not going to stick around. So what's the point? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And the stupidity I seen during the pandemic in regards to this vaccine and everything else, like just the dumb shit, guys. I mean, like you're going to shut down everything, but keep McDonald's open, keep fast food chains open with drive-thrus, where the one person coming through the drive-thru is interacting with one person inside there getting their food handed to them while they're passing everybody's credit card back and forth in the drive-thru. So if anybody had COVID, they were giving it to the person at the checkout window, and then they were passing it to every car that rolled through. I mean, a child could see what was going on here. Okay. You're telling me because I'm not vaccinated, I have to wear a mask on an airplane, but I could take it off when we eat when I'm sitting next to somebody who is also vaccinated and somebody who's not vaccinated, right? So what was the point? It was all stupid. We put stupid rules and regulations in place to see how far we could push people. That's what the government wanted to see. How far could we push these people? And then as soon as we forget all this happened, when COVID's a distant memory, there'll be another one. That's what'll happen. Now, the line in the sand. No experimental vaccinations. But there's a reason why smallpox is gone. There's a reason why certain diseases and viruses don't plague this nation. And it's because of vaccines. At one point in time when the government and the medical industry still had our best interests at heart, these things were good. Now, not so much. We live in a very, very different world. I remember hearing stories from old timers back in the day, just, how things were different. I remember I was really, really little and I'm on a job with my dad. We're doing a sewer line job or whatever. And talking to this old man there. And it was summertime. So I was I was out of school. I was going to work with my dad, and he was telling me, this old man at this job was telling me about how he didn't go to school for every grade. He went for like kindergarten and first, then he went back again for fourth, and then didn't go back again till seventh. And then that was like the last year he did. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, when I was growing up, school was kind of an optional thing. Like it wasn't a mandatory thing like it is for you kids today. And I was like, that's interesting. And then at the same time, around that same time in my life, I'm also talking to other old timers, like really old timers, talking about how, they had a brother, but they lost him to this disease that didn't exist anymore. Or how they had a cousin that died of this specific fever that no longer plagues our society, right? So, and then it makes you kind of wonder, and it makes you kind of ponder, and you start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Like, well, back then, the government really wasn't trying to raise your kids, and they didn't have their fingers in things like they do today. Now, also back then, nobody was performing transgender surgeries. Nobody was forcing vaccines. Like these weren't things back then. Did they still have their pandemics, and did they still have, issues and things? Yeah, absolutely. But it seemed like it was more common to hear about somebody dying back then because they didn't have access to medical care. Now, we have a lot of people die because they did have access to medical care and they got the wrong care. So that's where that has transitioned into. That's what has changed. And you can kind of put the pieces of this puzzle together and see what kind of track we're on and where we're going with this. Human beings individually are very disposable to the governments around the world. Like one person doesn't matter. It's a group of people that matters, right? The Republicans and the Democrats, these big political parties, don't care about one individual voter. They care about the masses, right? One school doesn't care about one child. They care about the entire student body. Things are getting very bizarre in the realm of healthcare. Things are getting very bizarre in the school systems, and it's getting worse. I cannot stand the fact my children are in public school. I absolutely hate it. I don't like it at all. But I will say this. I guess we are fortunate enough to where we have teachers that are really involved with us and really involved with the kids to where we very well informed on what goes on daily and what's happening and what they're learning, and they want the parents to be involved. And I mean, they're giving me books to read with the kids. Hey. And I could actively say there is no brainwashing or propaganda taking place in my children's school. I can honestly say that I have not seen it. We're not out of the woods yet. Things have been slowly escalating in the background, right? About what we're going to see to come this year. Now, I was talking about the turbo mosquitoes, cancer turbo mosquitoes. And he said, take this all with a grain of salt. He said his sources say there's another pandemic on the way. And I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong, but just the conviction in his voice when he's telling me these things. Sure, brother. I'm sure. Because it's 2026. And we've already seen a lot, and we're going to see a hell of a lot more. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. Guys, we'll be back here tomorrow on Thursday for another exciting episode of the Doom Daily Show. Producer Scooter, if you would be so kind, just hit that button.
News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.